and welcome to the Creatives Get Real podcast. I'm Roben-Marie Smith.
And I'm Sandi Keene, and these are real conversations about the creative life. Hey, Robin.
Hey there, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing okay. It's good to see you. We're in your creative space today, which is nice. So we're together for this podcast.
Face to face. I love when that happens.
Yes.
It's more fun for us.
Yes, it is. So.
Okay, so this is a topic that I think is really important. And I have to say that I think we've done some really important
We say
episodes.
we say that every week.
I say they're fun, but I think the last couple, when we were talking about getting on camera and we were talking about pricing and confidence, I thought those were really important. And I think this one kind of goes in hand in hand.
Agree.
It's almost like we're doing a series here.
Yeah, I think so.
And this one is, would you like to do the topic?
Yes, the top 10 social media mistakes that you might be making.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about those so that you can be aware of them and take a look at your social media postings on any of your platforms and hopefully be able to identify maybe some areas where you can make some improvements.
Yes. And I know myself, I have made several of these.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, I think everyone does.
Yep.
And it's just, looking back with experience from a point of I've done 50 things wrong and now I've got it a little bit better.
Right.
And here's some of the things I learned along the way.
Exactly. And guys, we're not coming at this as in you need to have a perfect Instagram feed or Twitter or Facebook feed, but there's just some things that you can do to make it more appealing and for you to be able to engage more effectively with your audience.
Right.
And we are not saying if you do all these 10 things and you fix these issues, if you have them, that you're suddenly going to get 10,000 followers. It doesn't work that way.
No.
But these things, if you can analyze them and figure out if maybe you're doing them and make some changes, you will see some positive results.
Yeah, I agree. And if we're going to talk about perfect accounts, I have nothing to say because mine is not perfect.
Neither's mine. No.
So, I'm not coming from a point of I do this completely right because trust me, I do not.
And, just looking at, we were just kind of brainstorming the ideas. We actually have done these. And every now and then, I think it's being consistent. And as we go through these, you'll see that there are going to be times when you need to take a break. So you're not going to be posting every day or every other day. But if you've gone 3 months and you haven't posted, that's probably not that great of a plan.
Yeah,
so
you will lose followers.
Yeah.
People are like, well, maybe
where are they? I don't know.
She's playing piano now.
I don't know.
Not doing art.
Maybe she's not. I don't know. All right. So let's take a look at number 1.
Okay, number 1, this is a hot topic. Limiting your audience unknowingly with polarizing topics and words.
Ooh.
So talk about starting with the most controversial one right up and just getting it out of the way. Yeah. And do you want to speak to this?
And this is, and I know there's different viewpoints on this because you have the group or the audience that's, I want to be real and I want to be authentic. And if there's people that don't like it, well, then they aren't my people.
Right.
Or I don't want them to follow me or whatever. I understand that. But I think it's important, as we were talking about preparing for this, that you understand if you're going to make those decisions. And when we're talking about topics and words, it'd be like being very political, using curse words, being overly, and this is one too, overly, you're complaining all the time. You're putting a lot of your baggage and issues and all, which I understand there's a time and a place.
Right.
But I think you can do it in such a way that you just really turn people off. And they're like, I don't really...
this doesn't appeal to me, so I'm going to unfollow you.
Right.
I think that when you're making decisions about who your audience is, that will help you decide, does your audience want to hear about, whatever the issue is. Maybe it's an issue that's in the news a lot. Maybe it's politics. Maybe we talked about controversial language. So decide. what your stand is, and then knowing what the consequences are, you make that decision. We're not saying there's a right decision and a wrong decision. We're saying what's wrong is to start doing this without understanding what will happen next.
Right. And then be surprised when your following starts to drop, or you don't really get the engagement or the comments, or it stirs up something within that comment thread that is just not positive and it's negative. And again, we're not saying one is right or one is wrong. You just have to make that decision, because your followers, it would be like doing it suddenly after you've been posting one way and then now you're totally posting some other way. Just know that you might, kind of alienate yourself from some of your followers.
Right. If it's something that you feel really strongly about and you want to speak out on it and you're willing to accept whatever happens, go for it.
Absolutely.
I mean, that is your account, your decision, your career. You get to decide. What we're saying is make the decision and then proceed. Don't proceed and then go, whoops, I didn't know that was going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah, that's not good. No.
Didn't see that coming.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
See it coming up
Yes,
first.
that's right. That's right.
Okay, I'll take the next one.
Okay.
Infrequent posting. Now, if I had to pick one that I am sometimes guilty of, it's this one. I can do infrequent posting. And usually it means that there's something big going on in my life other than my art life, whether it's illness, it's surgery, it's, caretaking, something big, or maybe I'm just out of the country. Something has happened that I'm not sharing online, so I'm just gone for a while. So, it's the same as number one. You just have to understand that there are consequences. Sometimes life comes along and it doesn't matter what the consequences are because you got to do it.
That's right. Yeah. Or you just reach a point where you're like, I need a break.
Yes.
But let me ask you this because, let me ask you the question first. How do you feel about using a service that will allow you to plan ahead where you can still, whether it's every other day or for like a period of a week or two that you're out of the country, where you can still have some relevant posting in there, but it's just doing it for you so that you don't leave that time where you're not present and you're not posting.
I think it's smart.
Yeah. And I do use that as an option for posting. And it has really helped because especially with traveling so much, there's just times when if I want to really make it relevant and I really want to spend some time on a caption or whatever, it's really hard to do that on the fly all the time. And so having a company that you can use to help post or, do the automatic posting really does help you. And it helps schedule it out so you don't miss things. There's times when I'm like, oh, I meant to, and I missed it or whatever. So, when we think about relevant or frequent posting or infrequent posting, do you try to aim for a certain number of posts every week, or what is do you have a goal that you kind of plan for? Or?
I'm kind of loosey-gooseier than that. I don't try to do one every day. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Art is a part of my life. It's not my entire life. I coach. I'm building classes, and I have my real life.
Yeah.
And I'm, caregiving, care managing.
Yep.
I have an elderly mother who is ill, so I have a lot of responsibilities when it comes there. So, I can't do that, and I'm not going to put that pressure on myself to do that because I just can't. But I like to be there at least 4 times a week.
I think that's a good number to shoot for.
Yeah, but are there times when I'm gone for a whole week? Absolutely, there are. Yeah. And, thank goodness the people that are part of my audience have forgiven me when I've done that. It's like, sorry, guys, life happens. And I think they understand that. But when you're building an audience, it's very difficult to be inconsistent. Yeah,
consistency is really important. It really is. And I mean, and I fall into this at times too. I have 2 accounts. So one account gets my full attention. The second account doesn't quite get that full attention. And I don't post as often in that account as I do my main art account.
Me too.
And I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. And I have found too that, and this is something I learned well into doing all of this, and I don't know why it even occurred to me to not think this way, but I thought if you take a picture of something, you can only post it one time, which is kind of silly. It's like, wait a minute. Why can't I take a photo of that at different angles or with maybe something different in the photograph and share it again? And so, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I know we've brought that up before. So I take a lot of photos. So that way I have a lot of things to pull from if I'm like, I don't have something right this minute, or I'm not in the studio today, I'm editing video today, but I want to post and I want to engage. So what can I do? I can pull from other things that I know I want to share this eventually. Right. So and that has really helped me a lot. Yeah. You have an archive that you pull from. Yes. That's really smart. That's a great idea. And it helps. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Number 3, not using your caption to your best advantage. Yeah, I'm guilty of this too. Sometimes I'm just sit there, with my thumbs on the screen or my fingers on the keyboard, and I go, I got nothing to say. I got nothing to share today. My mind is blank. I'm blank. It's like, really? You have nothing that you can share? No little words of wisdom at all? And I'm like, no, I have nothing. I got nothing. And so then I just sit there for a while. I go, well, should I post? Should I not post? And I'm like, yeah, this one is... Yeah, I think it's okay. This happens sometimes. Here's an example. Right now I'm doing a collaboration of faces, and I really don't have anything to say about each one. I just give them a name. So my post is literally the name, the hashtags, and a little bit of information about, who I'm collaborating with and what we're doing. But I don't have anything, no important story to go along with Gwen's picture. Right, exactly. I love that. So sometimes... But that's okay, though, because that kind of works. Yes. Well, and along with the archive of photos, I also have, I guess you would consider it sort of like a bank of thoughts and stories or quotes or things that I've thought, oh, I'd like to share that eventually, or maybe flesh that out into something more. Kind of like when I'm working on my newsletter, I save ideas and things and go, okay, well, eventually this I can probably relate to something that's going on, and I want to remember that. And so I'll pull from those things. And I'll be like, oh, that's really cool. I like that information. Or maybe I wrote a blog post that had some really good content in it. I can pull stuff from those blog posts and make them like the little mini blog post in the caption of my Instagram. Right. So that I'm still sharing things that I know my audience would want to hear, but they maybe haven't gone to that blog post and read the whole thing, but now I can kind of pull things out. So when I, in a pinch, kind of need something, or I'm like, you know what, I think this week I want to share these 5 tips on whatever, I can kind of break it out and do like a little series of, 3 or 5 posts in a row that have the captions that are related to that topic. And that's been really helpful too for me. Right. But I think the point that's important to take away from this one is that if you're building an audience, the best way to do that is to share your story. Yep. So the more that you can tell people, about your journey, about what you're doing, about what you're using, the more that they will relate to you and you will build that audience. So that's why that's important. Yep, absolutely. Okay. Underestimating the power of hashtags. I am definitely guilty of this one. When I first started doing Instagram, I never did hashtags. I mean, I know that things have changed in the year since I started. I mean, I was able to grow a following, but that was back in the beginning. And I really think now that you got to use your hashtags. You do. You do have to understand hashtags. And truly understanding them is take a course on it. I mean, it's not just something that we can tell you in 3 minutes how to do it. But there are some great free courses out there on Instagram and hashtags, and I think you cover it in your Maker's Tech U. Yeah, I do. I have a full thing on, and I even put together for the members all the different topics that could be related to anything related to art or business. I have hashtags ready. All they have to do is grab them and use them. So I try to make it real easy for them. And when I think about this, I mean, one tip would be, when you go into Instagram, just start searching for a hashtag that you think might be relevant to your post. If there's, a million posts under that hashtag, don't use it. You're lost. Work down a little and see if you can find some that are anywhere from, 50,000 to maybe 500,000, somewhere 100,000, where you could stand out a little bit more. Right. But if you're in one that you've posted flowers. Good
Mixed
luck.
media.
Yeah. I mean, I use that one, but I use a lot of lower, posted ones in it. But you could do mixed media art or mixed media, whatever it is. So try to niche it down a little bit. And that's one way that you can do that, is to search those and go, okay, well, look at that number. All right, let me look down a little lower and see what are similar that don't have quite as many posts in them. Yeah.
Yeah. Or if they have, under 100, okay, you might be too obscure now.
Yep.
And then you can tell me what you do. What I have started doing, because I'm finally getting smart about some things and making it easier on myself, is in notes on my phone, is I have lists. So if I'm doing, let's say, my pocket journal class, I have a list of hashtags that I use for that. And I copy paste. Otherwise, Caption can take you 30 minutes.
I know, a minute a caption. I'm sitting there trying to think of a caption. I mean, you got 30 you can use.
Right.
So, yeah. And because I use Planoly to do my planning and to prepare, they have a function in there where you can have all your hashtags saved. And so you just categorize them, or you give them a name. Like one might be art journaling. And then when I'm ready to put the hashtag in, I just go over, hit add, and it adds all the hashtags, and I'm done.
Nice.
But I'm constantly updating, though, because you don't want to use the same hashtags all the time. You really want to mix them up, and your topics will be a little different. One day you might be posting about watercolor that you're doing, and the next day maybe you're talking about something business related. So your hashtags will be a little bit different. Yeah. So, but that's wise to do, is to have it, to make it as easy for you as you can, so that you're not going, I got to type all these.
Yeah. What were those hashtags I liked?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally getting it.
And if notes might be maybe a little more difficult, or you want something a little bit different, Trello. Create a board of hashtags and your list. Put a card in there, and that's your hashtag. And then all you have to do on your phone, on your app, is go into Trello, copy it, and paste it. So if you haven't used Trello...
Trello needs to sponsor us.
I know!
Because we're their biggest fans.
Exactly. Yes. So there are options out there. So yes, as Sandi said, definitely save them. Do not sit there and try to retype them, because you won't come up with 30, and then you're wasting, valuable hashtag space there, not putting your hashtags in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do the work once.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Amen to
I'm
that.
finally learning these things.
All right. Number 5 is putting all your eggs in one basket. Yeah, I agree on that one. There's kind of 2 sides to this when I think about it. I think, number 1, yes, there's different platforms. So we're kind of looking at probably Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I know Pinterest is not a social media platform, so I'm not going to count that. And then you got YouTube. I think YouTube's valuable because a lot of us do videos, and we, have things that we share by video. But I don't think that you should give every platform the same attention, because your audience is not on every single platform. And I think there's ways that you can find out kind of where your audience is as well. You can ask them, how did you hear about this? How did you, whatever. You can look at your Google Analytics, and you can see where traffic is coming from to your website or your blog. But I think that focusing on one alone is not wise.
Right.
Yeah. Because number 1, not that Instagram's going to go away tomorrow, but what if it did? What if Facebook just wasn't anymore? You don't really want to put all your focus into that one platform.
Right.
Yeah. And different people like to take information in differently. And here's a good example. So we had been doing the podcast for a while, and then I thought, why don't we put it on YouTube? It's not a video, but it's audio, and people like to watch videos while they're working, or listen to them while they're working in the studio. What's the difference?
Yep.
And I think the app process of finding a podcast and getting it is hard for some people. They don't quite understand it. And so when we did that, it was amazing, the response. It was like, oh, thank you so much for putting this on YouTube. This is so easy for me.
Right.
And if we hadn't thought about it and thought, well, let's try it, then we would have probably been missing out on some of the people that are listening on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure I would have thought of that. That was all you. And that was really smart. Okay, the next one, not building community by not engaging with others. Yikes. Please don't do this.
I don't want to have to answer comments. I don't want to like your stuff. No, this is a no, people.
Opportunity for community. Mm-hmm. Build community. I mean, who doesn't want like-minded people in your life who are supportive, thoughtful, wonderful, and encourage you? I mean, I guess if that sounds nasty, then don't do it. But the rest of us
just don't engage with anybody. I mean, think about it, guys. And of course, I say this and I think, let me preface this by saying, if you've ever left a message or you've reached out to me and for some reason you didn't get a response, it was not intentional.
Right.
Like, I mean, keeping up with this is time, a lot of work. It is. But if you want to do it and you want to build community, you have to. But there's just times when I really wish Instagram would not only show you the latest, however many, I don't know how many it is, because then you literally have to check your phone every day. Mm-hmm. And if I don't, there's no way to go back and see, well, who, blah, 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 I miss it, you know.
Who's trying to contact me?
Yeah, exactly. I who left a comment? I don't know. But this is so important because think about it. When you're inspired by a post and I mean, I know we're talking a lot about Instagram, and you write a thoughtful comment, it just feels so good when that person responds back to you versus it getting ignored. And I'll go into account sometimes just to leave a comment and I'll see all these comments and the person has never responded to them. And I'm like, oh, these people have spent time and they've liked your stuff and they've left comments. So, but like I said, I preface that by saying we're not always perfect in that either, but we do try.
Well, and it gets harder and harder the bigger your account is. But when you're in the beginning and you're just starting, I mean, it's such a wonderful way to build community, find really friends that you will stay friends with for a very long time, perhaps forever.
Yep.
And then just to, support each other. It's so wonderful. And that can happen. Mm-hmm. It's not just Instagram. That can happen on Facebook. It can happen on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So wherever. Okay. Is it your turn?
Yes. Okay. What number are we on?
Number 7.
Number 7. Posting when nobody is looking. Yeah, I'm up in the middle of the night. It's 4:30 in the morning, and I'm gonna just post.
Right. Or I'm in a different country.
Time zone. Oh, country. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not realizing, hey, wait a minute. In where my main audience is, it's 2:00 in the morning. Who is going to see this post?
Right.
And with analytics and the way that different platforms work, the longer your post has been there, the less likely it is for someone to see it.
Yep.
So if they're not even up for the first 6 hours that your post is there.
That's right. Yeah.
And you're saying nobody's commenting, nobody's looking at my post. That may be why.
Yeah, they're not seeing it. And you can go into Instagram without even using third-party applications and see where your audience predominantly is and about the best time for you to post.
Right.
And then there's a bunch of free stuff online. You can go in and you can enter your user and find out this information.
Right.
And I encourage you to test it out and see if it makes a difference. And I noticed as I've over years checked and looked, my times have changed.
Yeah.
What used to be the best time for me was like 3 p.m. Now it's like 9:30 in the morning. Mm-hmm. So I've had to make some adjustments. So it's really, that's important. Because like you said, if someone's not around to see your post, more than likely if it's hours later, they're not going to see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so get familiar with that. And it changes from day to day.
Yep, that's right.
Usually my time is around 9 a.m. Eastern.
Yes, Eastern. Correct. US. Yeah, me too.
But I also will often have an 11:30 a.m. and a 3 p.m. And sometimes at night. Well, I know that when I have a night, that's my international audience.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, you have multiple times, but you also have these like silent spots where nobody's watching.
Yes. I'm waiting.
Yes. Yeah. So try not to post then.
And that's where having a planner, a scheduler really comes in handy because then you can pick the specific time that's best on the day that's best.
Right.
So if your Wednesday is more at 8 p.m., then you know that you can schedule it. Yeah. So,
and if you want to do it manually, because this is how I often do it, is I will have my phone. I set a timer on my phone that says
good
Instagram.
idea. Yeah.
And I'll have Siri do it even. I'm like, Siri, I need an alarm at 3 p.m. for Instagram.
Yep.
And Siri will set. And at 3 p.m. it comes up, Instagram. Like,
perfect.
Okay, boop, post.
Yep.
So whatever works for you.
That's right. Whatever works. Mm-hmm.
Okay, using too many graphics.
Yep, that's number 8.
Yes, and this is a matter of...
Yeah, break that down a little bit. So
I think graphics can be good, and, if you want to use graphics, go for it. But there's a impersonal feeling sometimes to graphics.
Okay, explain what you mean by graphics. Because I have an idea in my head, but I'm not sure it's the same as what our audience has.
This is what I think of. It's a pink background with a quote, and that's it.
Okay.
So that to me is a graphic.
Okay.
Where it's a quote, it's words. There's no art picture. There's nothing to really catch someone's eye. It's just kind of static.
It just happens to be. I posted one of those today. But
there's nothing wrong with posting them.
It's not an often thing that I do that.
Right.
But it helps kind of break up and get some white space into your feed. But I put relevant things in there. But yes, and I'm glad you said, because when I think graphics, I think any photo, like graphics, as in these are the graphics. So that's why I wanted to make sure our audience knew that this is, because I'm thinking, graphics like what? Put 5 photos in a carousel?
No, I mean literally it's a pink background with a quote on it.
Yeah, and that's all your feed includes, or is predominantly graphics. Yeah.
Because if you're a creative, if you're a jewelry maker or a photographer or an artist, you are all about, beautiful imagery.
Right.
And that's what people are looking for from you. So if your feed becomes constantly just graphics, it's really easy to get bored with that and say, well, I'm going to go over here because she's posting beautiful art or flowers or recipes or whatever it is I'm looking for. So I think they're important and they're a good thing. You just don't want to overdo it.
Correct. Yep. Very good point. All right. Number 9 is speaking to your audience in a group, non-personal way.
Right.
That's hard for me because I don't have that confidence as a writer. So I was sitting there and sometimes I feel like I'm very technical when I approach writing. And I'm like, oh, no. You want to... And then there's times when I feel like I just say, all right, just talk to one person. This is your friend. This is your mom or whatever. And just blah, 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 blah. And it just seems more free and fun and loose and
Yeah, and your true voice comes through. If you pick literally pick a real person and you speak to them. Yeah. I mean, you don't say, hey, Christy, in your topic, but literally speak to this one person. Yep. And that makes it so much easier. Yeah. And then that intimacy comes through in your words instead of, this grand group. Hello, guys. I'm thinking about all of you today. And then as a reader, you're like, well, I'm one of 10,000 that she's speaking to. That's very different feeling to, hey, she's talking right to me. I needed to hear that today. Yeah.
And this takes practice too. I mean, this is not something, I think because of the stress I feel sometimes when it comes to the writing part, I'm like, all right, just keep doing it and it will get easier. And I think when I feel like I have like this, oh my gosh, I really want to share this and I'm super excited and then I just start typing because I want everyone to hear it, but it's like, it would be like picking up the phone and going, Sandi, I got to tell you something. Then it comes across differently, So, yeah, I think that's the key. But keep practicing because it's not always easy to do.
Yeah, and my issue is I can be guarded. I'm I'm a private person, and I don't tell like everything that's going on in my life. I just don't, and I never will. I'm not young, and I haven't changed, so I'm not going to. Let's just all admit it. I'm going to be this way, but my whole life is, I'm just not that person who shares everything. So that, that can be another stumbling block is that I'm keeping things way too impersonal, and then people don't get to know you, and they feel that wall. So you have to work to feel comfortable. And that's where that box of transparency, which is one of our first episodes, comes into, where you pick things that you're going to be transparent about and you talk about those. And maybe what you're transparent about is your supplies.
Yeah.
And not your marriage.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So you're going to talk, hey, I'm trying out this new brush. I really love it. This is why. I struggle with this. This brush really helps. But it makes it personal. I struggle with.
That's right.
That's personal. Not this brush is snappy. No, I love a snappy brush because I struggle.
She does.
I do.
She does.
I struggle with looseness. I tend to be a very tight-gripped artist because I'm a tight-gripped person in my real life, too. There's a little box
of transparency there.
Yes.
Yes. No. Well, one thing you can do as well, and I like doing these kind of posts for that purpose, is to do like 3 to 5 things where you don't have to do a long article, but you just say, hey, here's a few things about me.
Right.
And then you just list a few like quirky, weird, whatever things you want to share that aren't, yes, I like mixed media. They know that. Give them something else, you know. And then, kind of put those in there. And it's just, those are fun and they're easy to do.
Yeah.
And you don't have to like figure, well, I'm going to write this long article or whatever. Just do that. And then you've shared a little bit that's personal and be like, how about you guys? Share something about yourself.
And people are related.
That's right.
Hey, I love long bubble baths with chamomile tea. Okay, me too.
Yep.
Or whatever it is that you want to share.
Yep.
Okay, I have no idea whose turn it is.
Oh, okay, I'll go number 10. We have number 10. We've reached it. Posting dark, blurry photographs.
I know. Can we just groan and that will be
We're
our
going to
answer?
groan. Yeah.
Come on, guys. Yeah.
No.
Learn just a little bit about photography. We're not talking about, getting a DSL camera and learning aperture. No, take your phone, whatever kind you have, and learn what spot in your house takes well-lit photos. And if you can, please don't take photos at night.
No.
It's very harsh. It's artificial light. It's shadowy. Sometimes, hey, if you don't have a choice, okay, you got to do it.
And then just use the apps to brighten it up and tweak it a little after. But this is, to me, one of the bigger turnoffs, I think, when I'm thumbing through or looking at accounts. I mean, I literally have seen blurry. Like, I don't quite know what I'm looking at. And definitely the dark. And again, they don't have to be professional photographs. No. But the more you practice, the better you get. I mean, I can see photos I've taken many, many years ago, and I'm much better at it now. And go through other feeds and look at photographs that catch your eye. Why? Why did it catch your eye? Is it the way the thing is laid out, the art's laid out or whatever? Is there something about it? And try to, practice doing things a little bit differently. But the lighting is important and definitely making sure it's in focus. I mean, the basics.
Yeah. And if your photo isn't, I'm going to beg you, delete it.
Yeah.
Start over.
Yep.
If it's not great, and don't try to fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's good and you want it great, fix it.
Yep.
But if it stinks, delete it, try again.
Yes.
Try a different time of day, try a different window.
Or go outside. I mean...
Yeah, not in the sunshine, go in the shade.
Yeah, go in the shade, lay it out in the grass, hold it up, whatever.
Right.
Practice those, different places. And you'll find what seems to work the best. And then you can do... as I mentioned earlier in one of the points, do multiple photographs. Bring 5 of your journal pages out or 5 journals or products or tools and do a photo session where you're working on just the photography, especially if the lighting is good and everything seems to be right, especially on cloudy days. Oh my gosh, that's like gold. So,
so if you've got your photos, you're like, wow, these are great. Okay. Go get 6 more things.
Yes.
Keep photographing your favorite tools. Photograph your art journal with leaves on top. I mean, just, keep going, keep going. And then hand your camera to someone else. I don't care who it is. Find somebody walking down the street and say, will you please take photos of me? And then get your face in there.
Did you just say that? Get your face in there?
Did.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah. So just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's recap. I'll do the first 5.
Okay.
So number 1, we've talked about limiting your audience unknowingly with polarizing topics and words. Number 2, infrequent posting. Number 3 was not using your caption to your best advantage. 4, underestimating the power of hashtags. And 5, putting all your eggs in one basket.
Number 6, not building community by not engaging with others. Number 7, posting when nobody is looking. 8, using too many graphics. Number 9, speaking to your audience in a group, non-personal way. And number 10, posting dark, blurry photographs. Groan.
Good talk.
Yeah, I hope this helps.
Yeah, I hope it does too. It's good for me to even kind of refresh and go, okay, yeah, always being aware of, ways that you can kind of make improvements maybe on what you're doing. You can always improve. Mm-hmm. Don't be overwhelmed by all 10. Maybe pick one. If you say, you know what, I'm not really posting as frequently as I'd really like to, then maybe make a goal to post 3 or 4 times a week and be diligent in commenting back on those that comment, and just pick a couple and see how things go. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to do an honorable mention, if I could just throw this in at the very last minute.
I think that's awesome. Yeah, go ahead.
I think, when I'm coaching, what I hear a lot is that people think that the only thing they can post is finished artwork. And so the pressure of having a new piece of art to post every time is overwhelming. And I would just like to tell people, you don't have to do that. No. It's a work in progress. This is what I'm working on. This is what I've got. Is wonderful. People love to see them. Mm-hmm. Your art room, or your table where you do jewelry making, or your cameras for photography, whatever it is that you do, those are important. There's a whole lot of things that you can take photos of other than finished product.
Absolutely.
So that takes the pressure off you too.
And maybe even create categories for yourself where you're like, okay, well, when you're thumbing through Instagram and you see something, you go, well, that's just a work in progress. Okay, I like that. Or they showed, their coffee cup with a little peek of their art. Mm-hmm. Write down ideas for categories. And that way, when you're thinking about photography, your mind opens up much more. Stack your journals up. I did that the other day where I just did photos of stacked up journals.
Who doesn't love
that? But
I
mean, yeah. So it's like, okay, well, there's a whole, there's so many opportunities out there. And you're right. I think that we do tend to think, well, it's got to be finished. No. Mm-hmm. I love seeing work in progress images and kind of seeing what the process looks like. Right. It makes me feel like I'm part of it a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. And you learn things like, wow, I didn't know that there was a red underpainting underneath that.
Exactly.
I had no idea. Yep. Oh my gosh. I'd like to learn more about underpainting.
Yep.
So take notes when you go through Instagram. Look what other people are doing that catches your attention, and then do that.
And you can also, inside Instagram, you can save it to a category. Create a category collection that is just for that, photography ideas. And then you can refer back to it when you're going, oh, I remember I saw that layout and I really like that flat lay, or how they did this, and I want to incorporate that into it. And then that will help generate ideas when you may be low on ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
We should do a whole...
an
episode on flat lays.
I know.
What are they? How do you do them? What do you put in them? Okay, somebody write that down.
Okay, I'll write it down.
Thank you.
Got my pen right here.
Flat lays. We'll talk about those so you guys learn what those
I love
are.
that. Okay, see, we even came up with a new podcast episode out of this podcast. So.
Yay!
Oh, guys, you guys have been awesome. Thank you for listening. I know this was a little longer than our normal podcast, but wow, what a lot of information we wanted to share with you guys. So, all right, well, until next time, we sure appreciate you guys.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Creatives Get Real.
We love hearing from you. So hop on over to Instagram and leave us a comment. And we also appreciate reviews on iTunes.
And you can find me, Sandi Keene, at sandykeene.com, and my classes at popupartclasses.com.
And you can find me, Roben-Marie Smith, at robenmarie.com. And if you're looking for and need tech support, check out my membership site, makerstechu.com.